Hello everybody, and welcome to our latest property that we're quick turning. This is a foreclosure that we recently picked up, and as a result of this foreclosure, we've got a little work to do before we get the property sold. The great news about this property is it doesn't need a lot of work. So it is a multifamily property. The great news is our strategies work whether it's a single family or multifamily. It's going to change a little bit upon what type of work we're going to do, but this video will actually take you through the process to show you what we need to do step by step to get the property sold and to make a profit. So we're going to go inside in just a moment, and when we do, we're going to go through each room step by step, show you what you need to get done, what work needs to be done, and then we'll go into the basement. We'll also go around the exterior of the property and show you what needs to take place in order to get the property in condition to be sold. So why don't we get started and go inside. Okay, so now we're inside the property, and as you can see, we have, this is the living room. You're walking right from the front door. So you have the living room, and as you see around the room here, you see that there is baseboard. Unfortunately, there's no heating element, and we can get into the story during this video as to what happened, but the copper has been stolen from this entire property. And we'll get into the story when we go into the kitchen. I'll tell you how the whole deal came about. But you can see from this room here, we've got hardwood floors that are nice. We've got relatively new ceilings. We're going to need a new ceiling fixture. And right now, they're in the process. You'll see some debris as we go around the house. You're going to see that these windows here are going to be replaced because these windows are actually wood windows. And this house is probably about 100 years old. And as a result of the property being so old, there's probably lead paint on these windows. So one of the hazards in rehabbing a house of this age is that usually we have to replace the windows. So they haven't been replaced, and that's actually going to be taking place over the next week or so. They're going to be in here replacing them with vinyl clad windows, a little more energy efficient, a little better insulated, and they will just look a lot better, and they'll remove that lead paint hazard. As you can see, the rest of the casing on the window is all nice wood trim that's been polyurethane. So that's in great shape. Just the windows themselves, because they have a rubbing surface, they go up and down, that lead dust can come out and really create havoc for young children. So it's a hazard. We're going to remove the windows. That's going to dramatically improve the property and enable us to get a lot more money for the property as a result, because when a new buyer comes in, they are not going to want to do all that sort of work. It's very destructive, it makes a little bit of a mess. The good news is they'll have the property with the windows in already, because typically people like to have newer windows, newer siding, new roof. Those are the three biggest concerns they have. The other one will be the heating system. We'll get down to the heating system in the basement in just a few moments. So that's this room here. Not a lot of work that needs to be done. We might put a little bit of fresh paint on the wall, patch a few things on the wall. Other than that, replace the light fixture and do something with the floor, maybe put carpet down here, or refinish the hardwood floors. But what we're going to do is we're going to now go down the hallway, and we'll go through the bedrooms, the kitchen, and the bathroom. So follow me over here. The first room that we're going to go to, you can see this is a hallway that leads right down to the kitchen. And this is a pretty large size apartment. This unit right here is roughly about 1,000 square feet. Pretty good size for a family. We've got 3 bedrooms. So come on over here, we'll show you the first of 3 bedrooms. So this here is the first bedroom. As you can see, not a lot of work that needs to be done in here. We've got a similar issue up there with the light fixture. So that light fixture is going to have to be replaced. We have the windows that will be replaced shortly. And the walls, we've got a couple of cracks that just need to be patched up. A few pieces on the ceiling that need to be repaired as well. And then we have some paint that needs to go on the walls. The floors are in great shape. They just need to be washed, and they will be all set. We have the doors and trim that are all nice wood, so they don't need to be painted. They're all in good condition, so we're going to leave them like that. And this is a smaller bedroom. As you can see again, the baseboard heat is missing. That's something that we'll have to do. We'll probably do that right before the tenant moves in. So we're going to walk across the hall. We're going to go into the bathroom over here. So bathrooms in these properties, you want to make sure are nice, neat, and clean. And you'll see that actually this property, they had made some updates and renovations from the time that they first owned the house, and the family that we bought the property from owned the house for over 30 years. So come on in the bathroom. It's tight, but it's not too small. And as you'll be able to see in here, we have a newer toilet. So they obviously did some updates prior to selling to us. So they got a toilet, they have a nice vanity, and as you come in, you can see further that there's an old medicine cabinet. So we'll probably keep that there. We've got the lens right there for the glass. So we'll put some new light bulbs in there, and then we've got a closet behind me. You can see the baseboard down here, and the baseboard is actually still intact. So when they came and took the copper, they didn't take it from this room. But then now we have this nice tub over here with a nice enclosure. So this is pretty modern. All it probably needs to do is be caulked, cleaned up a little bit, and this room will be all set. The flooring, we'll probably keep intact. It's a little bit of an outdated color. However, for it to be a rental property, it's perfectly acceptable. It's in good condition. It's not peeling up or anything like that. So now what we're going to do is we'll go down the hall and we'll go visit another bedroom, and then we'll go around through the kitchen. So come on over here into this bedroom. And you'll see most of the bedrooms in this property are pretty much the same. They're about the same size. The great news is we have all nice polyurethane woodwork, so there'll be no painting of any woodwork. The walls in this room are blue. We've got some cracks. We've got windows that need to be replaced. Again, you got an old lighting fixture that needs to be replaced. And you have the walls that we're going to paint. We're going to change from a blue to more of a neutral color. So we try to use the same color schemes in all of our properties for a couple of reasons. One, it makes it very cost efficient for us to be able to do one color on the rooms. We'll use the same paint all the time, as we have leftover paint and leftover rollers and brushes. Everything is consistent, so we make the process very easy on ourselves. So again, there's a closet behind the wall over there. The door that you saw sitting on the side was from that closet. So that'll just have to get hung back on there. So let's move into this last bedroom, then we'll tour the kitchen, and then we'll go into the next unit. So basically this room right here, very similar again to the other ones. This one just happens to be green. So again, we've got the nice molding. We've got two windows that need to be replaced, light fixture that needs to be taken care of, and a set of baseboard that needs to go in. Other than that, the room looks pretty good. Again, just painting the walls. So this is the kitchen. Let me start over here with the pantry. The pantry is it shows a little bit of age, but it's in excellent condition. So I don't think that we're actually going to do anything here to replace any of the base cabinets. All the base cabinets are in good shape. Matter of fact, this countertop is still, it's Formica. It's in good shape. Remember, this is not a property that we're retailing to a homeowner at the end where the homeowner would live here. We're going to be retailing this to an investor, most likely, that is not going to live here, but instead is going to be renting the property. So this is perfectly acceptable. As a matter of fact, this is probably better condition than some of the rentals in this neighborhood. So as you can see, the sink, we got a large sink here. It's in fairly good shape, so we still have to make a decision whether we're going to replace the sink, but we've got a newer faucet. We've got a decent countertop and sink. So because it's a rental, we may leave it here. We have to make a decision on what we're going to do. So this is the pantry part of the kitchen. Now what we have over here is we have the rest of the kitchen where in this area will be the refrigerator, stove with a table here. And this is actually where we met with the homeowner when we bought the property. We came here, we sat down with them, and what the situation was. Let me just tell you a short story of how this whole deal happened. These folks had inherited a house. They were living here. It was a property that was an estate. They were the heirs. They were living here. They were living on this floor, and they were renting the second floor. And while they were living here, they slowly became behind on payments. So as they became behind on payments, we were actually providing some marketing out in the area through flyers, through direct mail, through signs. So we have a lot of different types of marketing that we have out there. And prior to their property being listed in the newspaper as a foreclosure auction sale, they actually contacted us through one of our other forms of marketing. I believe it was actually a sign that they called on about 2 weeks prior to the name being listed. So luckily for us, we were able to get there ahead of time before everybody else found out about them. and we sat down at the kitchen table. We went through the safe island technique to show them, why they were behind on their payments. Things hadn't changed. As a matter of fact, they were in a situation where they had gotten a mortgage, or the previous owner had gotten a mortgage that was since deceased, had gotten a mortgage that had an adjustable rate. And as that rate adjusted, they could no longer afford the property. And as a result, they decided to, after going through the safe island technique, they realized that this property was not something that they were going to be able to afford to keep. And it was in their best interest at that point to go ahead and sell the property. So we made them a cash offer. They accepted. And we sat down here at the kitchen table to hammer out those details, sign the agreements, and then shortly thereafter we were able to close the property at our attorney's office. So between the time that we actually had the closing and the time that they moved out of the property, unfortunately the house was broken into and they stole all of the copper in the property. So that was, it's unfortunate. We're able to negotiate a little bit more of a discount as a result of the copper being missing. But one of the ways we actually knew the copper was gone is because we always make sure that we come to the property the day before the closing or the day of the closing to make sure the property's in the same condition as it was the previous times we've been there. And in this case, something had happened. All the copper was now gone. So we had to adjust for that in the purchase price, and we hammered out those details. It was a difficult negotiation, but we did negotiate with them. They knew that they had to sell. The time was ticking. That's the good news about foreclosures is there's a definite end date, and because the property had that problem, they needed to make a fast decision. So they had already vacated the property, but now the property was in worse condition. So we didn't take the full discount off for the amount of copper that was gone, but we're able to make some compromise. We created a win-win situation, which enabled them to be happy and walk away, and for us to be able to come in and get this work done. So that is pretty much the entire first floor. We're now going to go up to the second floor, and we'll show you what that unit looks like, and we'll show you the repairs that we plan to make to that floor. Before we leave this kitchen though, you'll notice that there's wallpaper on the walls. The wallpaper I'm not really a big fan of. In this case, what we're probably going to do is we are going to get the wallpaper off these walls and get these walls painted. So now we'll have a nice painted walls. This unit will really be nice. Most likely if we sell this property to an owner-occupant who's going to live in the first floor and rent out the second floor, they probably want to choose this unit because it is a little bit nicer than the others. However, when we go to the second floor, you'll see what the difference is. Okay, now we're on the second floor. What you're going to find is that this second floor is very similar to the first floor. It's the exact same layout. The colors are a little bit different. You'll find that most of the woodwork up here, at least in this area, is painted, which is not necessarily a problem. It's just we prefer the woodwork not be painted because now we're going to have to go through and have our contractor paint all of the woodwork. A little extra money, and you get to paint it over and over again. It's much better to have the plain woodwork. So this was used as a rental unit. So again, the owners lived in the first floor. The second floor is used as a rental unit. Not as nice this unit. The floor, as you can see, probably needs to be changed. There are a few holes in the floor, a few tears in the vinyl, and what we'll probably do is replace this either with stick-on tiles or what are called VCT tiles. So one of the two we'll have put down on the floor. This is not a nice enough property to necessitate ceramic tile, so we'll go with one of the lesser expensive options. So as you can see in this room here, we've got again some windows that need to be replaced. We've got baseboard and wainscoting at the bottom. That's what they call this material right here, wainscoting. And the wainscoting needs to be painted. It doesn't need to be replaced, but it needs to be painted. We've got the windows that are going to be replaced. We've got a ceiling fan up here already, so we'll probably clean that up and leave that here because people love ceiling fans. It's something that really adds value to a property, especially in a warm summer day. You got the stove on, baking a pie. The tenant is going to definitely want to have it cool in here, so they're going to have that fan on. So we'll leave a fan in here. But as you come around over here to see this wall over here, you can see there's no appliances in this unit. We have room for a stove and for a refrigerator. And in the past, the way this property was heated was with what is called a gas-on-gas stove. So it's about a 36-inch stove, but 18 inches of it is a heating element that actually heated this whole space. At some point, probably about 15 years ago, they did come in and they put baseboard, so forced hot water baseboard throughout the property, which was a nice upgrade. Unfortunately, again, up here, all the copper has been stolen, so we're going to have to go ahead and replace all those. So you'll see that as we go through each room. But over here, we had that stove, and that's what this white area is right here. This was a hole that was there. Now, I'm not sure what's behind that hole because this is how we found the property. However, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut open that hole and make sure that they just didn't patch over this with wallboard. We're going to need to make sure they actually put bricks in the chimney to seal off that, because that's where the chimney is. It goes from the basement all the way up through the attic, all the way through the roof line. So we're going to need to make sure that they were sealed up properly. We don't want any of that carbon monoxide coming into the unit. So we'll take that part of the wall apart. You'll see there's a piece of molding that's missing, so we'll add that molding back on there. And we'll probably paint the walls in here a little bit lighter color and paint the woodwork. Probably paint all the woodwork white. I think painting the woodwork white would be a nice way to spruce this area up, and again, replace the floor. So let's move down the hall. We'll go back out here, out to the living room. So this is, again, the living room would be the first room that you enter as you come into the property. And you can see in this room here, we have, again, windows that need to be replaced, molding that needs to be painted, and walls that need to be painted. We've got baseboard that needs to be put in. And we've got to do something with the floor. We may put carpet in, we may just paint the floor again. Remember, this is going to be a rental unit, so it doesn't have to have the highest of upgrades, but a carpet may be an option, or a lesser expensive option, maybe actually painting the floor. So that's going to be one of the things we can do. Over here, we actually have a hallway. So this hallway right here leads all the way down the stairs. So we have a back hallway, we have a front hallway. So the direction we're in just a while ago was in the back hallway. And now we're over here in the front hallway. We also have a porch that's in the front of the property as well that the tenants could sit out on. So we're going to go down through the rest of the bedrooms right now. So follow me this way, and we'll come right down and we'll go through the bedroom right here. Then we'll hit the bathroom that's on that side. So in this room here, we have not a lot of updates that need to happen. We have, again, the woodwork in this room has not been painted. I think mostly just in that kitchen area has been painted in that front room. So this side of the house hasn't. So we probably just need to do some patching in here on the walls, put a fresh coat of paint, and get these windows replaced. That'll be the first order of business. That'll dramatically clean up this property and put it in good shape. So that's the first bedroom. Well, why don't we walk across the hall, and we're going to go into the bathroom. So in this bathroom, you'll see that, all right, so we've got a little bit of an older color tub and surround. So we got blue. Not the most desirable, but in most cases, tenants really aren't going to mind. It's acceptable, it's clean, it's neat, and they will accept it. Same thing with the floor. We've got an older blue tile floor. However, though, we do have some updated vanity. Looks like a pretty brand new toilet, and we just have to make some small repairs on the floor. We can leave that medicine cabinet there in place. Probably clean up the light fixture a little bit. But other than that, this room itself is in really good shape. It's got a nice enclosure, and the heating element is actually still in place in this room, so we won't have to replace that either. So let's walk down the hall here. We'll go through the other two bedrooms and show you the pantry, and then after that we'll go down to the basement. So this room here, what we have is we have a room that's actually painted pretty dark. So it looks like the previous owner allowed the tenant to paint the room whatever color they want. So they chose a pretty deep red. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do here, because we do have some patching of the walls that we need to do. We're probably not going to be able to match this color. So we'll probably end up having to paint the room. We haven't fully decided what we're going to do. The floors are in pretty good shape. The woodwork is in good shape. However, the windows do need to be replaced, and we do need to put some baseboard back along that wall. So now what we're going to do is we'll go into this final bedroom and then show you what the pantry looks like. So follow me in here. We have again a room that's painted a shade lighter than the previous room, but we've got again a room that has a lot of baseboard that's missing. We've got two windows to replace. We've got a lighting fixture up on the ceiling that needs to be replaced. However, everything else here is in pretty good shape, so it's really just cosmetics. And as you can see throughout this entire property, we don't have a lot of things that we need to do. A lot of it is just cosmetics, and these are the types of rehab properties that you want to be involved in, ones that we can get done relatively quickly. Within 2, at the most 3 weeks, this entire property will be complete. We'll have new windows, we'll have the cosmetics done, we'll have this property in shape to, in this case, we're going to be renting the property because most of the owners are going to want the property fully rented and have some rental income coming in prior to us selling it to them. But we will either sell to an investor or we'll sell to a retail buyer that actually live on the first floor and rent out this space. So this final room is going to look very similar to the pantry that was downstairs. So again, we've got nice cabinets, we've got nice lower cabinets, countertop that's in good shape. This countertop's in good shape as well. We've got a more modern sink right here, so that's in good shape. And I believe even the plumbing underneath the sink is intact. So we're in pretty good shape. There's not a lot that needs to get done in the kitchen. Kitchens and baths, a lot of times over the years, that can cost a lot of money to replace. And this is where you do want to spend your money. But when you have things that are updated that are pretty decent like that, that's fine. The bathroom, yeah, it's questionable. If this was a house that we were going to be selling to an end buyer that was actually going to live here, we'd be updating the bathroom. The kitchen, we might do a little work in there, probably not much. But in this case, because this is going to be a rental, it's not necessary to do that. We're just going to take and paint this room here and get the colors a little bit better and a little bit more neutral. So that concludes the tour for this floor. So again, we're going through the first and second floor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the basement, and then we'll tour the outside of the property and show you what we need to do out there, which isn't much, but we'll still show you the entire rest of the property.
Now that we covered up the upstairs, we're down in the basement. And it's a good sized basement, great for storage. And one of the things that you'll notice down here is that we're missing all the piping, all the copper piping. They not only stole the baseboards upstairs, but they also stole the piping down here. And what we're going to do, and when we replace the piping, we're going to replace what PEX. And what PEX is, it's plastic tubing. And it's commonly used today instead of copper. And it's usually cheaper to put in, it's easier to install. And again, now they can't come back and steal it again. And the reason why they stole the copper is because copper went up in price so much over the last few years that it's been pretty common lately on vacant houses that people are stealing the copper. As you can see, the whole basement here, got a ton of room, great for storage. The new owner might even consider sectioning it off for each unit to hold their storage. Over here, what we have is we have the furnaces and the water tanks, and what we're going to do there is those are all going to be replaced, but we're going to replace the water tanks and the PEX piping first, and then we're going to hold off on the furnaces until after the actual new tenants move in. And the reason being is because right now they don't need heat on the property because it's springtime. So I'd rather just wait, have them move in, then put all this in. Now there's people living here, you don't have to worry about things getting stolen. So as we move over here, again, huge basement. Another room for storage over here that you have. And as you can see, this house is pretty old. It even has a wine press over here. They can create their own wine. Also over here you can see there's gas meters. The whole house is heated by gas, which is great nowadays as well because of the fact that oil prices keep on going up so much. That keeps the utilities down. And over here, it's nice that this, since it is such an old house, so most of these houses will have fuses or knob and tube wiring throughout the house. But this actual property actually has been upgraded to circuit breakers, which we like to see. It makes things a lot easier, and the new homeowner likes to see that as well. So that's pretty much it for a basement. There's not a ton going on down here, besides just replacing the piping with the PEX tubing, and replacing the water heater and the furnaces. And actually, one other good thing about down here is there's actually a small little bathroom. So that's pretty much it for the basement down here. What we're going to do next is we're going to go up outside and show you around the exterior of the property. But that concludes the interior of the house. All right, now we're back outside where we started, and Craig was showing you, talking about going inside the house. What we have here is we're just going to get the property cleaned up. As you can see, it's overgrown. And so what we'll do is we'll clean this up. We might just you have someone come in, take out all these weeds, clean it up. Might put mulch in here. We haven't decided yet on that. But we just want to make it nice and easy to keep the landscaping and the maintenance easy for the new homeowner. So basically down the side here, we're gonna do the same thing. This is the driveway, and we're gonna clean up all of this, make it look nice and neat. As you can see on the outside, there's really not much done. It's nice. It's siding on the property. As Greg mentioned, on the inside, we're gonna replace the windows here. But it doesn't really need anything else. It's nice. It's a brick foundation. It's very solid. It's nice and square. And as you come along the back here, you can see everything's overgrown. We gotta get this cleaned up a little bit, this fixed so that it swings in and out. And the backyard, they have a nice little backyard, so it's fenced off. Which, if they have kids, that's nice. And again, we're just gonna clean up all the backyard, make it look nice and neat. And on the other side of the house is just a little small path over there, so we really don't need to go over there. But that's pretty much it for the outside. As you can see, it's a nice solid house, and that's what we like to look for, especially because there's nothing, the vinyl's gonna last forever. You don't have to do any maintenance as far as painting. If there's wood on the property, wood siding, that's when if you gotta paint it every few years, flaking paint, that's one thing that you wanna try to avoid. So that's it for the tour of this property, and then you'll see us again actually after it's all finished and fixed up, and you see how we made out.
Welcome back, everybody. We're at the property. It's been a couple of weeks. Contractors have been busy getting some work done. As you remember, there wasn't a lot of work that needed to be done. A few minor touches that the contractors will be coming back today to complete. The property is on the market, and we've already gotten some activity and some interested buyers. So why don't we go inside and we can check out the progress. All right, everybody. So we've got the living room of the property coming in from the front entrance. As you can see, the walls have been painted, the windows have been completed, and the floor, the nice hardwood floor that looked pretty in tough shape before, now has been refinished. So we've got a complete room here. Remember the issue we had the last time was on these windows. We had the old wood windows, and now we're replacing them with vinyl windows, much more energy efficient, and also it removes that lead paint hazard. So those things have been complete. This room is in good shape. Why don't you follow me this way? We're going to go up the hallway. So this is one of the bedrooms. You can see in here we've done the same thing. The walls have been painted. We've got new windows. You'll notice that there's still no element inside of the baseboard. And the reason for that is because we'll do that just as the tenant moves in, or just as the property is transferred. We'll either supply the new owner with a credit, or if it's rented prior to the transfer, we will have heat in here for the tenants. So in this case here, we just don't want to run the risk of the property being vandalized or someone breaking in to steal the copper. So we'll leave that for the last minute before the property is either sold or rented. All right, so here's the bathroom. As you can see, there wasn't much work that needed to be done in here. We have the vanity in place, we've got the toilet in place, and a nice tub and wall surround. So this room is complete. As you see behind me, you have a brand new window as well. So this room is complete. Let's move on. So we're here in the second bedroom. Looks very similar to the first bedroom. Again, we replaced the windows, we painted the walls, and we've got the same baseboard that needs to be put in. But like I said before, that will be put in. So we're in the third bedroom. Once again, very similar. We've got window that's complete. We've got walls that have been painted, and this room is pretty much all set. Probably one last thing we need to do is just put in the light fixture. I'll be doing that later today. All right, so here's the pantry part of the kitchen. As you can see from last time, there was wallpaper on these walls, and now the wallpaper has been stripped and the walls have been painted. It looks great. Again, we're gonna leave these cabinets in. All the cabinets are in great shape. Countertops in good shape. We're gonna keep that. We're even gonna keep this vintage can opener. So if they've got a can of tuna or a can of beefaroni, whatever you like, you've got a nice can opener right here on the wall. Nice vintage. It's probably 20 years old. So now you'll see the kitchen. This probably has the biggest improvement because if you remember, the walls had wallpaper on them, and it looked pretty bad. We've had all the wallpaper removed, the walls all fixed up, and if you remember, there's a hole over here from what was a gas-on-gas stove, and there wasn't a hole, but it was just patched up. what we did was we had a contractor open up that wallboard just to make sure that the chimney was properly patched behind. And when we discovered that we took it off and it was patched up properly. So we're in good shape there. This gas pipe down there will be for a gas stove that will be installed. Again, the appliances, we do have a refrigerator here, but we'll put in the gas stove. We always put those in just as the tenant is moving in. Or with the new owner, we'll either provide a credit or we'll provide the appliance right at the time of closing. So as you can see in this room, we've done a nice job with the walls, with the woodwork. This property here is good to go. All right, so now we're on the second floor, and as you can see, this room has changed dramatically. We had, I think it was gold-colored wainscoting on the bottom and wallpaper on the walls. So all of that has been removed and replaced, painted along the bottom. The floor has been redone as well. This is what is called VCT tile. Relatively inexpensive, easy to replace. Instead of having one sheet of vinyl on the floor, they're individual 1 square foot tiles. The great part about that is that if something happens to the floor, you're replacing one tile, not the entire floor, having to patch a large part and keep a roll somewhere. The tiles are pretty normal as far as their delivery and them being in stock. So it makes it really easy to do a replacement if you had to, and then it's a lot less costly as well. So as you can see, this room is pretty much complete. We've got some appliances that we need to put in, and again, the baseboard will not be put in until the property is either rented or in the process of being sold. So that takes care of right here. Let's go into the pantry over here. And in the pantry, you'll see much of the same. We had the wallpaper here that now has been removed. The walls have been painted, and this room is going to stay as is. Countertops are good. Cabinets are good. Everything is in great shape for a rental unit. Now, if this were a property that we were retailing to an end buyer, we might have added a few upgrades or might have done a few things differently. But in general, this is very clean and neat for a tenant, and that's who is most likely going to live here on the second floor. So that concludes the kitchen, and let's go tour the bedrooms, the bathroom, and the living room, and see what changes bedroom here on the second floor. And as you can see, the room has been painted, the windows have been put in, same issue with the baseboard, and besides the ceiling has been replaced in this room because it was peeling, so we replaced that. We've got a light fixture that's got to go in right there when the painter returns to take off the tape on the ceiling fixture. Other than that, this room is right here. We are in the red room. So this room we did not paint. This room did not have as many holes in the wall. So the previous room we had to paint because there were several holes in the wall and we just weren't going to be able to match it. This room we're able to not have to paint because it's a little more costly because you do need to put several coats of primer because of the fact that the room is so dark. Matter of fact, what you do is you have to put a gray primer so you can slowly get back to a white or a lighter wall, which is really what we prefer. But what will happen in this room is either a tenant will really like it, and if they don't, we might supply the paint and allow them to paint it a different color. So we'll only have the cost of the paint and not the labor going into it. But as you can see, the windows have been replaced. The baseboard, same situation as before, and we just have to have a minor cleanup up here. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape in this room. We're in the third bedroom. So this bedroom has been painted. The baseboard still needs to go in. You can notice the windows have been replaced. And on the ceiling, this ceiling again was replaced. We've got a ceiling fixture that needs to go in as soon as the painter comes back to take the tape off that fixture. And other than that, this room is complete and ready to go. Let's move on over to the... Alright, so here we are in the living room. So if you remember the last time, this floor did not have any carpet on there. It was just a blank floor. So what we're able to do is get some inexpensive carpet put in here. That's rental grade, actually a little bit higher grade than what we normally put in. But we got a really good deal with our contractor. The room has been painted. We've got our new windows in place. And we've got a few minor touches to do in this room. We've got a light fixture that's going to go in, and some a plate that's going to go back on. When the painter comes back to do his final touch-up, he'll put all those plates back on. But other than that, this room is ready to go. Nice living room for the tenant. And let's move on and let's take a look at the bathroom. All right, here we are in the bathroom. So this bathroom here, remember from last time, we have a sink and toilet. They're relatively new. but we really didn't do a lot in here. We just painted the walls, made it look nice, made it look clean. Floor color and the tub and surround color, a little bit outdated, but it's okay. This will be a rental unit, so as long as it's clean and neat, it's perfectly acceptable. The tenant will probably put a nice shower curtain on there. They won't even notice what the color is, except when they're in the shower.
Alright, now we're in the basement. What we got going on down here, we didn't have a ton to do down here, but some of the things that did get done over the last couple of weeks were we had the plumbing done, all the water lines put in. As you can see, they're PEX. One reason why you want to use PEX instead of copper is because a lot of times nowadays is copper gets stolen. Plus, it's a little bit easier to install, so we really like using the PEX, and that's becoming the norm nowadays anyway. So again, we have the washer and dryer, the washer hookups there. And then if you look over here, we actually got the water tank installed for one of the floors. And if you follow me over this way, again, all PEX along the ceiling. And then we have another water tank, because this is a two-family, obviously, so we have a second water tank over here as well. And then the PEX runs all the way down to where the main would be, but again, we're going to wait till, wait a little while, just because, again, copper can get stolen. We're going to wait till we have a tenant ready to move in, then we'll put the copper in to finish up down here. But other than that, down here, we actually, we have a toilet and a small bathroom down here as an option for the tenant. That was already set up there, so we replaced the toilet and hooked up all the plumbing there as well. So that pretty much concludes the basement. We're going to be getting the furnaces put in here, but we're waiting for that as well. Once the tenant's ready to move in, again with the baseboards and everything, that way we don't have to worry about things getting stolen. As you can see outside here, we got all the landscaping done. We're not going to spend a lot of money putting into landscaping. If there's a house that we're flipping, we would do it. Again, it's a rental unit. We just wanted to clean it up, get all these, I don't know if you remember or not, but we had high weeds here. Get that all clean, so now it looks all nice and neat. Probably put mulch there when we finish up, just to top it off. In the driveway, again, just cleaned it up. This is all high weeds, just make everything look nice and neat. You come in the back here, we pretty much did the same thing, just cut back all the branches in the back and tidied up the backyard. Most of the outside, like we said before, is nice. You can see all the new windows now, and those were all cased off nice with metal. And the outside of the house was nice brick, all nice and clean. And as far as the back here, is just clean up the backyard. And it has a nice little backyard, so if the person does have kids, they can play it, fence it off, and they have some place to use. It's not a huge backyard, but it's a backyard. A lot of places around here don't have the backyard, being close to the city. That's pretty much it for the outside. There's not much. Luckily for us, there wasn't a ton to do here. So it's a quick, easy job, and now it's done.
All right, so let's do a recap on this property. So we bought the property about 30 days ago. We paid $80,000 for the property. We put about $22,000 worth of rehab into the property. Then we've got holding costs, closing costs, realtor fees, so all those fees that we have in order to buy, hold, and then sell a property. That's about $23,000. So that total comes to about $125,000. So that's the amount we have into the property. And we'll probably list the property for about $160,000 and accept somewhere between $160 and $150 for the property, which is really good in this market. So our profit would be about $25,000. It could be a little bit higher if we sell the property without a realtor, it would be even higher than that. But in general, we probably expect about a $25,000 profit. It's pretty good for this market right now. So this probably would work really well for an owner-occupied, which is what we're probably trying to hold out for it to be, and that's why we haven't rented it yet. We've got it on the market, we've got a few interested buyers, but at this point, we're going to hold off at least on renting the first floor because this is probably where the owner will want to live. But you may find an investor that will buy this property. At those numbers, the property will probably still cash flow, especially for a property of this size and type, with the rents that somebody will be able to get. So, but again, our goal here with this property, particular property, is not to hold it. Our goal here is to sell the property, which, with the way the market's been going, probably in the next 30 to 45 days, the property will be sold. So we'll make a nice nice $25,000 profit. Probably have had the property at that point, maybe 2.5 to 3 months at the most, because we've had the property now for 30 days. And we'll probably take another 30 days to 45 days to secure a buyer and have a closing. So it'll be somewhere around 3 months that we'll have the property, which is a small amount of time to make $25,000 or $30,000. Could make as much as close to $40,000, depending on how the rest of the fees work out, the holding time in the realtor. So great deal. This is the type of deal that you want to be doing out there and making lots of money doing it. So go out there, start your marketing, get things going, get deals coming into your office every day like we do, so that you can be making the kind of money that we're making. We'll see you at the top.